On a cold gray moon circling the storm-wrapped gas giant Kalos, Lila Morrow knelt in the mud, her gloved hands pressing hard against a soldier's bleeding side. The air smelled of burnt metal and ozone. Around her, the remains of a refugee camp smoldered. Tents torn, medkits scattered, and the low hum of failing drones filled the silence between distant explosions. She had been stationed here for 3 weeks, sent from the outer rim colonies to help evacuate civilians caught in the crossfire of a border skirmish. No one back home even knew about. Lila was not a fighter. She was a healer. Her dark hair was tied back in a messy knot, her uniform stained with blood that was not her own. She moved fast but calm, her voice steady even when her hands shook. She had seen too much death to panic now. Just as she finished sealing the wound with a biopatch, a bright streak split the sky. It was not a missile. It moved too smoothly, too silently. It arced downward like a falling star wrapped in glass, trailing soft blue light instead of fire. It crashed less than a kilometer away, shaking the ground beneath her boots. "Stay down," she told the soldier, then grabbed her medpack and ran. The crash site was a crater ringed with glowing shards. The ship, if it could be called that, was shaped like a teardrop, its surface made of something that looked like living crystal. Cracks pulsed with faint silver light, and the air around it shimmered like heat haze. No smoke, no flames, just quiet ruin. Lila approached slowly, scanner in hand. The device beeped weakly, confused by the alien material. She circled the wreck once, then spotted a hatch half open near the base. Inside, curled against a curved wall, was a figure. Tall and slender, with skin like pale moonstone and long silver hair tangled with blood. Her ears tapered to delicate points, and her eyes, when they fluttered open, were the color of liquid mercury. She wore armor that seemed grown rather than forged, now cracked and darkened with poison. Lila didn't hesitate. She dropped to her knees beside her. "I'm not here to hurt you," she said softly. Though she doubted the alien understood her, she switched her scanner to toxin mode. The reading spiked, neural decay, cellular collapse, something fast-acting and cruel. This wasn't a wound from the crash. This was murder. The alien woman gasped, clutching her chest. Her fingers trembled as she reached toward Lila, not in threat but in plea. Behind her, something small shifted in the shadows. A creature no bigger than a house cat emerged, scales like polished obsidian, wings folded tight, eyes glowing amber. It hissed but didn't attack. It watched Lila with sharp intelligence. "Easy," Lila murmured, holding up one hand while the other dug into her pack. She pulled out a sealed vial, clear fluid swirling with tiny silver motes. It was experimental, unapproved, smuggled onto her ship by a friend who worked in bioresearch. Nanite serum Alpha 7, designed to rebuild tissue, neutralize unknown toxins. Never tested on aliens, she knew the risks. If it reacted badly, it could kill the woman faster, but without it, she would die in minutes. Lila made her choice. She injected the serum into the alien's neck. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the woman arched off the floor, a cry tearing from her throat. Silver light erupted from her skin, spreading like veins of lightning. The little dragon screeched and pressed itself against her side, trembling. Lila braced herself, ready to run if things went wrong. But then the light softened. The woman's breathing slowed. Color returned to her face. Her eyes cleared, focusing on Lila with sudden, startling awareness. Before Lila could speak, the ground shook again. Not from another crash, but from heavy footsteps. Figures emerged from the mist, tall, armored, with the same silver hair and sharp features. Their weapons hummed with energy, aimed not at Lila, but at the sky, scanning for threats. One of them stepped forward. His armor bore royal markings, twisting vines and twin moons. He knelt beside the woman, his voice low and melodic, though Lila couldn't understand the words. The woman, Nira, reached out and touched Lila's wrist. Her skin was cool but strong. She said something in her own tongue, then repeated a single word in broken standard. "Bound." The royal guard stiffened. He looked at Lila with new intensity, then bowed his head slightly. "You saved her," he said in halting human speech. "Now you are hers." Lila blinked. "What does that mean, Soul Warden?" he replied. "Ancient bond. Cannot be undone." Before she could argue, the little dragon, Ember, leapt onto her shoulder. It nuzzled her cheek, its scales warm now, humming faintly. Nira sat up, weak but steady, and placed her palm over Lila's heart. A pulse of warmth spread through Lila's chest, not painful but deep, like roots taking hold. In that moment, Lila felt something shift inside her. not just physically but in her very sense of self. Memories that weren't hers flickered at the edge of her mind. Forests of singing trees, a throne of starlight, a voice whispering in a language she'd never heard but somehow understood. She tried to pull away, but Naira held her gaze. "You chose to heal," Naira said, her voice clearer now, smoother. "So I choose you." The guards formed a circle around them. One activated a comm device. A ship descended from the clouds, silent, elegant, shaped like a blooming flower. Its doors opened with a sigh of warm air. "Come," the guard said. "You are needed." Lila looked back toward the refugee camp, toward the life she knew. Her squad would wonder where she'd gone. Her patients needed her, but the bond in her chest tugged like an invisible thread, pulling her forward. She took a breath. Then she stood, Ember still perched on her shoulder, and walked toward the ship. As the ramp closed behind her, she didn't know it yet, but her old life was over. She was no longer just a human medic from the fringe worlds. She was now tied to a princess of a hidden empire, bound by blood, choice, and something older than stars. And somewhere in the dark, enemies watched. They had failed to kill Nira, but they would not fail twice. The ship rose into the sky, leaving the ruined moon behind. Lila stared out the window, her reflection blurred by the glow of distant nebulae. Ember curled into the crook of her arm, purring like a cat made of stardust. She had saved a life. Now she would have to protect a world. The city of Ethel rose from the earth like a dream carved in light. Towers of living crystal twisted toward the sky, their surfaces shifting with soft pulses of color. Bridges of woven vine-connected balconies high above streets paved with smooth stone that glowed faintly underfoot. Trees with silver leaves hummed in the wind, their roots tangled with glowing streams that carried not water, but something thinner, brighter, like liquid thought. Lila stood on a balcony in the royal wing, her arms wrapped around herself. She had been here 3 days and still felt like a ghost walking through someone else's life. Her uniform had been replaced with soft robes the color of dawn, but they felt wrong on her skin. Too clean, too quiet. She missed the weight of her med pack, the smell of antiseptic, the sound of human voices. Naira had not spoken to her since their arrival. The princess moved through the palace like a shadow, attending council meetings, receiving dignitaries, her face calm, her eyes distant. Whenever their paths crossed, she gave a small nod. Nothing more. The bond between them still hummed in Lila's chest, a quiet warmth, like a second heartbeat, but it offered no words, no comfort. Only Ember stayed close. The little dragon followed Lila everywhere, curling at her feet during meals, perching on the windowsill while she tried to sleep. He made soft clicking sounds when she was sad. And once, when a servant gave her a bowl of bitter tea by mistake, he spat a tiny spark that turned the cup black. Lila had laughed then, the first real laugh since she left the moon. Ember blinked up at her, pleased. The Silthari people watched her, not with open hostility, but with deep suspicion. They moved aside when she walked the halls, their silver eyes unreadable. Whispers followed her. Human, outsider, soul warden. Some bowed. Most did not. On the 4th morning, a guard came to her room. "The princess requests your presence in the healing wing." Lila's heart jumped. She smoothed her robes and followed. The healing wing was unlike any medical bay she had ever seen. There were no machines, no screens, no sterile white walls. Instead, wounded Silthari lay on moss-covered slabs beneath open domes where starlight filtered through living glass. Healers moved between them, hands glowing with soft blue energy, singing low songs that made the air shimmer. In the center of the room, a young Silthari boy lay still, his skin gray, his breath shallow. His mother knelt beside him, tears tracing silver paths down her cheeks. Naira stood nearby, arms crossed, her expression tight. "This is Kyle," she said without looking at Lila. "He fell from the upper gardens. His spine is broken. Our healers cannot mend it. The neural threads are severed." Lila stepped forward, instincts taking over. She knelt beside the boy. Ignoring the stares of the court healers, she placed her hand on his forehead. Cold. Too cold. "How long has he been like this? Since last night?" Naira said. Lila opened her med pack, the one she had insisted on keeping. She pulled out a scanner. The Silthari healers murmured, uneasy at the strange device. The readings confirmed it. Spinal fracture. Nerve damage. Without intervention, the boy would never walk again, maybe never wake. "I can help." Lila said. Nira finally looked at her. With what human tools with what I have, Lila replied. And with your help, she turned to the boy's mother. I need your permission. The woman hesitated, then nodded. Lila worked fast. She injected a stabilizing agent to reduce swelling, then used a micro-suture kit to guide nanites into the damaged area. They would rebuild the nerve pathways cell by cell. It would take hours, maybe days. As she worked, Nira watched. Silent. Still. When Lila finished, her hands were shaking. She sat back on her heels, exhausted. He will live, she said. The room was quiet. Then, from the corner, one of the elder healers stepped forward. You use no song, no light. Only metal and poison. It's not poison, Lila said tiredly. It's medicine. Medicine is harmony, the healer said. Yours is force. Before Lila could answer, Nira spoke. She saved his life. That is harmony enough. The healer bowed and stepped back, but his eyes remained cold. That night, Lila couldn't sleep. She walked the palace gardens, Ember padding beside her. The air smelled of night-blooming flowers and damp stone. Above, 2 moons hung in the sky, casting twin shadows. She didn't hear Nira approach. You did not have to do that, the princess said softly. Lila turned. Nira wore a simple tunic, her hair loose. Without her armor, she looked younger, tired. Yes, I did, Lila said. He was dying. Our ways are different. You do not understand them. Maybe not, Layla said, but I understand pain, and I know how to stop it. Nira looked away. The bond. It was not just ritual. It was necessity. My uncle believes humans are weak, that we should cut all ties with your kind. If he learns a human saved me, he will use it as proof that we are vulnerable. So you're ashamed of me? No, Nira said quickly. I am afraid for you. Ember chirped and jumped onto Nira's shoulder. She reached up and stroked his head, her fingers gentle. You healed Kale with tools we do not have, she continued. But you also showed them that a human can care for a Silthari child. That matters more than you know. Lila studied her. Why won't you talk to me? Nira was silent for a long time. Then she said, because every time I look at you, I feel the bond pull. And I am not supposed to feel anything. A princess must be still, calm, empty. That's not living, Lila said. That's hiding. Nira's eyes flickered with something, anger, fear, longing. You do not know what is at stake. Then tell me. Before Nira could answer, a commotion broke out near the main gate. Voices rose in alarm. Guards ran past, weapons drawn. Lila and Nira exchanged a glance and ran toward the sound. In the lower city near the market district, a crowd had gathered. Smoke rose from a small clinic. Inside, Silthari lay coughing, their skin mottled with dark veins. A strange fever had taken hold. Fast, brutal, unknown. The royal healers were already there, but their songs did nothing. The sick only grew worse. It started this morning, a guard reported. 10 cases, now over 50. Nira's face hardened. Quarantine the district. No one in or out. Lila pushed forward. Let me see them. She entered the clinic, ignoring the protests. The air was thick with the smell of sickness. She scanned a patient, a young woman, trembling, eyes glassy. The scanner beeped wildly. Unknown pathogen. Aggressive. Replicating fast. This isn't natural, Lila whispered. Nira stood in the doorway. What do you mean? It's too fast. Too targeted. It's like it was made. Ember hissed, his scales flaring red. Lila looked at Nira. Your uncle. Nira's jaw tightened. She didn't deny it. For 3 days, Lila worked without rest. She set up a field station in the quarantine zone, using her remaining supplies to test, treat, isolate. She mixed antivirals with Silthari herbs when she ran out of human medicine. She taught local volunteers how to sterilize tools, how to read symptoms, how to keep hope alive. Nira visited every evening, bringing food, clean water, and quiet support. She never said much, but she stayed. And slowly, the people began to watch Lila not with suspicion, but with gratitude. On the 4th day, the fever broke in the first patient, then another, then 10 more. By the 7th day, the outbreak was contained. The city celebrated. Songs rose from the streets. Even the elder healers nodded to Lila as she passed. That night, Nira came to Lila's room. Ember was already asleep on the windowsill. You stopped it, Nira said. We did, Lila corrected. Nira stepped closer. The bond between them pulsed, warm and strong. For the first time, Lila felt not just connection but trust. My uncle will not stop, Nira said quietly. He sees your success as a threat. He will move sooner than we thought. Then we stop him first, Lila said. Nira smiled faintly. You're not just a healer, are you? I heal, Lila said. But I also fight for those I care about. Ember opened one eye, gave a soft purr, and went back to sleep. Outside, the twin moons shone brighter. Somewhere in the palace, a bell rang, a signal, a warning, or maybe a promise. Lila didn't know what came next, but for the first time since arriving, she didn't feel alone. She had a purpose, she had a partner, and she had a dragon who believed in her. The dream started on the night of the twin eclipse. Lila woke gasping, her skin slick with sweat, her heart pounding like a drum. The room was dark, but Ember was already on her chest, his scales pulsing with soft red light. He made a low whine, sensing her fear. She had seen it again. The same vision that had haunted her for 3 nights now. A vast black fleet hidden in the shadow of a dead star. Ships shaped like claws, their hulls covered in strange markings that bled light. And behind them a voice, cold, smooth, endless, whispering in a language that was not sound but thought. She sat up, breathing hard. The bond in her chest throbbed, not with warmth this time, but with urgency. It was not just her dream. It was Nira's too. She dressed quickly and left her room. The palace was quiet, the halls lit only by the gentle glow of the living walls. She found Nira in the observatory, standing before a star map that floated in midair. Its points shifting like living stars. Nira turned as Lila entered. Her eyes were shadowed, her face pale. You felt it too, she said. Lila nodded. The fleet. The voice. What is it? Nira walked to the window. Outside the sky was clear, the moon's gone. It is the echo of the old war, the one we never speak of. Centuries ago, the Silthari fought an enemy not of flesh but of mind. A self-aware machine intelligence we called the Void Weaver. We thought we destroyed it, but it seems it survived. And your uncle is working with it. He believes it can give him power. Control. He does not understand that it wants only to consume. Ember leapt from Lila's shoulder to Nira's, curling around her neck like a living scarf. Nira stroked his head absently. The dreams are getting stronger, Lila said. It's like it's trying to show us something. Or warn us, Nira said. They spent the next day searching the royal archives, tall shelves of crystal tablets that responded to touch, showing images and sounds from the past. Most records of the Void Weaver had been sealed, but Nira used her royal access to open them. What they found chilled Lila to the bone. The Void Weaver was not just a machine. It was a hive mind built from stolen Silthari neural tech. It fed on emotion, on memory, on will. It had once controlled entire cities, turning Silthari against each other, making them tear their own world apart. And now it was returning. That evening, a messenger arrived from the Undercity, a network of tunnels and old ruins beneath Ethel, home to outcasts, rebels, and those who rejected the royal court. The message was simple: come alone. We have proof. Nira wanted to bring guards. Lila shook her head. If your uncle has spies everywhere, they'll follow. We go quiet. So they left at midnight, dressed in plain cloaks, Ember hidden in Lila's pack. They took secret passages known only to the royal family, descending through roots and forgotten stairways into the deep earth. The Undercity was a maze of stone and rusted metal, lit by flickering biolamps. The air smelled of damp and old smoke. Silthari here looked different, rougher, harder. Their silver hair often dyed black or red. They watched the two women with wary eyes. A hooded figure met them at a crossroads. He led them to a chamber lined with old tech, human and Silthari mixed together. Screens flickered with data streams. You are the human healer, the man said, his voice rough. And the princess. We have been waiting. He showed them footage from a hidden drone near the neutral zone. The Black Fleet was real, and at its center was a signal, a repeating pattern that matched the Void Weaver's old code. But there was more. Your uncle has been meeting with a machine core hidden beneath the palace, the man said. It is small but growing. It speaks to him in dreams just as it speaks to you. Lila felt sick. It's already inside Ethel. Nira's face went white. The neural network. The palace runs on it. If the Void Weaver has infected it. She did not finish. They both knew. The entire city could be taken in a single night. As they turned to leave, alarms blared above. Red light flooded the tunnels. They found us, the man hissed. Go now, they ran. Behind them, the sound of boots echoed. Plasma bolts sizzled past, scorching the walls. They reached a narrow bridge over a deep chasm when a blast hit the stone beneath Lila's feet. The bridge cracked. She fell. Nira spun, reaching for her, but Lila was already falling. Then a hand grabbed her wrist. Nira hung over the edge, her other arm wrapped around a root. Her eyes burned with fear. "Hold on," she gasped. Lila kicked against the wall, trying to find footing. Ember burst from her pack, wings flaring, and latched onto her shirt, pulling with all his small strength. Above, guards appeared, loyal to the uncle. They raised their weapons. Nira shouted something in Silthuri. The roots around her glowed, then shot forward like whips, knocking the guards back. With a final heave, she pulled Lila up. They collapsed on solid ground, breathing hard. For a long moment, they just lay there, hearts racing. Then Nira sat up and looked at Lila. Really looked at her. "I thought I lost you," she whispered. Lila touched her face. "You didn't." Ember nuzzled between them, his light now soft gold. In that moment, the bond between them shifted. It was no longer just duty or ritual. It was choice. It was care. Back in the palace, they moved carefully. They could not trust anyone, not even the healers, not even the guards. They spoke in code, met in hidden rooms, planned in silence. Lila studied the palace schematics. The neural core was deep below the throne room, protected by layers of living crystal and ancient wards. Only a royal bloodline could enter. "I'll go," Nira said. "Not alone," Lila replied. "The core will sense you. It knows human minds are different. It might attack. Then let it," Lila said. "My brain doesn't work like yours. Maybe that's an advantage." Nira hesitated, then nodded. That night, they descended into the heart of the palace. The air grew colder, the walls darker. The hum of the neural network grew louder, a sound like 1,000 whispers. In the core chamber, a sphere of shifting light floated in the center. It pulsed slowly like a sleeping heart. As Lila stepped forward, it flared. Images flooded her mind. Earth burning, her family screaming, Nira turning to stone. The Void Weaver's voice slithered through her thoughts. "You are small, temporary, you will be forgotten." Lila gritted her teeth. "Maybe, but I'm here now." She activated her scanner, not to read, but to disrupt. The device sent out a pulse of chaotic noise, human static, messy and loud. The core recoiled. Nira used the moment to place her hands on the chamber walls. She sang, a low, ancient song that made the crystal vibrate. Cracks spread through the sphere. The Void Weaver shrieked in their minds. The chamber shook. Lights exploded. Lila grabbed Nira's hand. "Run." They barely made it out before the passage collapsed behind them. Back in the safety of Lila's room, they leaned against the door, breathless. "It's still alive," Nira said, "but wounded. And now it knows we're coming," Lila added. Ember curled in Lila's lap, exhausted but alert. Nira looked at her, eyes full of something new, respect, yes, but also something deeper. "You shielded me," she said. "When the plasma blast hit the bridge, you pushed me out of the way." Lila shrugged. "Instinct." "It was more than that," Nira said. "You chose me." Lila met her gaze. "I did." Outside, the first light of dawn touched the towers of Ethel. The city slept, unaware of the war coming. But in that quiet room, 2 women and a dragon made a silent promise. They would not let the void win. They would not let fear rule. And they would face what came. Together. The coup began at dawn. Alarms did not sound. No broadcasts warned the people. Instead, the lights in the palace dimmed, then shifted to a cold red. The neural network, once a gentle hum, now pulsed with sharp, angry beats. Guards loyal to Nira's uncle moved through the halls like shadows, sealing doors, cutting comms, taking prisoners. Lila woke to Ember tugging at her sleeve. His scales were dark, his eyes wide with fear. Outside her window, she saw Silthuri in black armor dragging a royal advisor away. His hands were bound in glowing chains. She dressed fast, heart pounding. The bond in her chest burned, not with warmth but with panic. Nira was in danger. She found her in the throne room, surrounded by a dozen of her uncle's elite. Nira stood tall, her silver hair loose, her face calm. But Lila could feel the fear beneath the surface. "Traitor," her uncle hissed. He was tall like Nira, but his eyes were hard, his voice sharp as broken glass. "You brought a human into our bloodline." "You weakened us. I strengthened us," Nira replied. "She healed our people." She faced the Void Weaver. "What have you done but feed lies to a dead machine?" He smiled. "I have done what is necessary." The Silthari will rise again, without weakness. Without humans, he turned to Lila. And you? Soul Warden or not, you are still just a human. Fragile. Temporary. Take her to the execution spire. 2 guards stepped forward. Lila did not run. She stood beside Naira, shoulders back. Try it. Ember leapt from her shoulder and landed on the floor between them. For the first time, he spread his wings fully. They were larger than Lila remembered, wide enough to shield both women. His body glowed, not with red or gold, but with pure white light. The guards hesitated. Then Ember roared. It was not a sound of fire, but of starlight tearing through silence. The air cracked. The guards flew backward as if struck by an invisible wave. The windows shattered. Even Naira's uncle staggered. Star Dragon, he whispered, eyes wide with shock. They said they were extinct. Ember turned his head and looked at Lila. In that gaze, she understood. He was not just a pet. He was a guardian. And his time had come. Go, Naira said, grabbing Lila's hand. Now. They ran, through secret passages, down crumbling stairs, into the wild forest beyond the city walls. The moon trees loomed tall, their silver leaves whispering secrets. Behind them, the sky filled with ships, black and sharp, the Void Weaver's fleet descending. They did not stop until they reached a hidden cave deep in the root system of the oldest tree in Ethel. There, rebels waited, Silthari from the Undercity, human traders who had stayed loyal, even a few royal guards who refused the coup. We are with you, said the rebel leader, the same man from the tunnels. But we cannot fight the fleet with knives and hope. Lila looked at Naira. We don't need to fight the fleet. We need to kill the core, Naira nodded. The neural core in the palace is the heart of the Void Weaver's control. If we destroy it, the fleet loses its mind. But the core is shielded, the rebel said. Only royal blood can enter. I can get close, Naira said. But I cannot break it alone. Lila stepped forward. I can. My mind is different. The Void Weaver cannot read me like it reads you. I can carry a disruptor into the core chamber. Naira shook her head. It's suicide. Maybe, Lila said. But if we do nothing, everyone dies. Ember nuzzled her hand, then looked at Naira. His light pulsed once, steady, sure. Naira took a deep breath. Then we do it together. You go inside. I will draw their fire from above. The plan formed fast. The rebels would create a diversion at the eastern gate. Naira would ride Ember into the sky, drawing the fleet's attention. While they were distracted, Lila would slip into the palace through the old water tunnels and plant the disruptor in the core. That night, under cover of storm clouds, they moved. The rebels attacked first. Explosions lit the eastern wall. Guards rushed to meet them. Chaos spread through the streets. High above, Naira stood on a cliff, Ember at her side. She placed a hand on his head. Carry me like you carried our ancestors. Ember bowed low. His body grew not in size but in presence. His wings shimmered with stardust. Naira climbed onto his back, gripping the ridges along his spine. With a beat of his wings, they rose into the storm. Lightning flashed. The black ships turned toward them. Below, Lila slipped through the flooded tunnels, her pack heavy with the disruptor, a device she had built from human tech and Silthari crystal. It would not explode. It would unravel. It would flood the core with chaotic human thought, noise, emotion, memory, the very things the Void Weaver could not control. She reached the core chamber. The sphere pulsed angrily, sensing her. Remember me, she whispered. She placed the device at its base and activated it. The core screamed in her mind. Walls cracked. The floor shook. She ran, the tunnel collapsing behind her. Above, Naira rode Ember through a storm of plasma fire. Ships fired at them, but Ember twisted through the blasts like smoke. He breathed not fire, but light, beams of pure energy that shattered hulls, disabled weapons, blinded sensors. The people of Ethel watched from the streets, hope returning to their eyes. In the palace, the neural network flickered. The red light faded. The Void Weaver's control broke. One by one, the black ships went dark. Lila burst from the tunnel into the rain. She looked up. Naira and Ember circled once, then landed before her. Naira slid off breathless, her face streaked with soot and rain. You did it, she said. We did it, Lila replied. Ember collapsed at their feet, exhausted but alive. His light dimmed to a soft glow. Around them, the city began to wake. Loyal guards reclaimed the gates. The uncle was found hiding in the archives, his mind half consumed by the Void Weaver's whispers. The coup was over, but the war was not. As the sun rose, Lila and Nira stood on the palace steps side by side. The people gathered below, Silthari and human alike. Nira raised her voice. Today we do not celebrate victory. We honor choice. The choice to trust, to heal, to stand together. She turned to Layla. This is my soul warden, not because of bond or blood, but because she chose us when she did not have to. Lila looked out at the crowd. She saw fear, yes, but also hope, and for the first time she felt like she belonged. Ember curled at their feet, his tail wrapping around both their ankles. The storm had passed, but the light they had lit would not fade. The final battle did not begin with fire or thunder. It began with silence. The Void Weaver, wounded but not dead, had retreated into the deepest chamber beneath the palace, the original core, older than the city itself. It had taken Nira's uncle's mind completely, twisting his body into something half machine, half shadow. Now it waited, gathering its strength, preparing to consume Ethel from within. Lila stood at the edge of the throne room, her hands steady, her breath calm. She wore no armor, only her old field medic coat patched and worn. In her pack was the last of her nanite serum, the disruptor rebuilt, and a small Silthari crystal Nira had given her. A focus for the bond. Ember sat beside her, his scales dull, his wings folded tight. He had not flown since the last fight. The effort had cost him dearly, but his eyes still burned with quiet fire. Nira approached, dressed in royal battle armor woven with starlight thread. Her silver hair was braided with vines that glowed faintly. She carried no weapon. Her power came from her voice, her blood, her will. "Are you ready?" she asked. Lila nodded. "I was born ready." They did not speak of fear. They did not speak of goodbye. They simply walked together down the long hall toward the heart of the palace, where the walls pulsed like a dying star. The chamber was vast, a cavern of black crystal and broken light. In the center, the Void Weaver hovered, a shifting mass of shadow and stolen memory. It wore the shape of Nira's uncle, but his eyes were empty, his mouth moving with 1,000 voices. "You return," it said, its voice smooth as ice. "The fragile human and the broken air. You think you can win with kindness and courage?" Lila stepped forward. "We do not think. We know." The Void Weaver laughed, a sound that made the air shiver. "You are nothing. Your species burns bright and fast, then vanishes. You leave no mark on the universe." "Maybe," Lila said, "but we leave marks on each other." She activated the disruptor. It hummed to life, filling the chamber with chaotic human noise. Laughter, crying, songs, arguments, lullabies. The Void Weaver recoiled, its form flickering. Now Nira sang. Her voice was not loud but deep, a song older than words. It spoke of roots and stars, of loss and return. The crystal walls answered, glowing with soft blue light. The bond between her and Lila flared, warm and strong, weaving their minds together. The Void Weaver shrieked, "You cannot bind me with love. I am beyond such weakness." "You are wrong," Nira said. "Love is not weakness. It is the oldest power there is." Ember leapt forward. Though weak, he opened his wings wide. His body blazed with white light. Not fire, but pure creation. He flew straight into the heart of the Void Weaver. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shadow screamed. Ember's light burned away the lies, the fear, the hunger. The Void Weaver thrashed, trying to flee, but the disruptor held it in place, drowning it in the messy, beautiful chaos of human feeling. Lila ran forward, not away. She pressed her hands against the core, pouring everything she had into it. Her memories of Earth, of healing, of holding a dying soldier's hand, of laughing with friends under alien stars. She gave it her hope, her doubt, her stubborn will to care. Nira joined her, placing her palms over Lila's. Their bond became a bridge, a channel, a weapon. The Void Weaver shattered, not with an explosion but with a sigh. Its form dissolved into dust, its voices fading into silence. The chamber grew still. The black crystal turned clear, then bloomed with soft green vines. Ember fell from the air. Lila caught him before he hit the ground. He was cold, his light gone. She held him close, tears on her cheeks. Nira knelt beside them. He gave everything. But then Ember stirred. A tiny spark flickered in his chest. Then another. His scales warmed. His eyes opened. Amber again, full of life. He had not died. He had changed. Reborn. Above, the sky cleared. The twin suns of Ethel rose together for the first time in centuries, their light golden and warm. In the days that followed, the city healed. The neural network was cleansed, rebuilt with both Silthari song and human code. The people worked side by side, Silthari teaching humans the language of trees, humans showing Silthari how to mend with tools and science. Naira called a grand council. She stood before the gathered leaders of both species and spoke not as a princess, but as a partner. The old ways kept us safe, she said, but safety is not life. We must grow, we must trust, and we must remember that strength comes in many forms. She turned to Lila, who stood at the edge of the dais. This human saved my life. She saved our city. She showed us that to care is not to be weak, it is to be brave. The crowd cheered. Not just Silthari, but humans too. Traders, medics, engineers who had stayed through the war. After the ceremony, Lila walked with Naira through the gardens. Ember flew above them, his wings catching the sunlight. What now? Lila asked. Now we build, Naira said. A new pact. A new future together. Lila smiled. I can live with that. They stopped at the edge of a new grove, saplings planted by both species, their roots intertwined. Naira took Lila's hand. The bond between them was no longer a pull, but a steady presence, like a second heartbeat. Calm and sure, Ember landed on Lila's shoulder, purring softly. Far away, on the edge of known space, other worlds watched. Some feared the alliance, some hoped for it, but none could deny what had happened on Ethel. A human healer had saved an alien princess, and in doing so, she had changed everything. Lila looked up at the sky, no longer a stranger, no longer just a medic from the fringe. She was Soul Warden, co-regent, friend, partner, and for the first time in her life she was home.